I turned that key and dropped this rock a little early, and it's still billions dead. Even you can't stop that.
I am Thor, son of Odin, and as long as there is life in my breast, I am running out of things to say. Are you ready?
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books, I love talking about them, I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. The Mighty Thor 374 from 1986. When I was young, this is sort of when I started collecting Thor. It was because I had started collecting XMen, and I started collecting X-Men shortly before the Mutant Massacre, and I had seen this, so I picked it up, and so I fell in love with Walter Simonson on his X Factor run, and I decided to work my way back into Thor's. But this is actually the second issue of Thor I ever purchased right off the rack myself. Yeah, so very nostalgic for this. I do have a playlist where I started with Walter Simonson's run from the very beginning. Feel free to check that out if you would like. And I'm covering this despite the fact that the X-Men run that I'm covering is still not in the Mutant Massacre era, but should be there in a couple of months. So once it is there, I will put this in my X Universe playlist. So great cover here. We got Angel in the wall as Harpoon has damaged his wings, and then we've got Blockbuster here beating Thor with Cyclops and Marvel Girl coming. We're in the Morlock tunnels underneath Manhattan, and Blockbuster here says, "Heads up, Goldilocks, because this time they're gonna be carrying you out here feet first." And we see Thor standing in front of Angel. And our story here is called Fires of the Night. This here is just exposition sort of what's been happening, so we don't need to worry about that here. And of course, Walter Simonson is the writer. Sal Buscema is doing the art, and as always, the one and only John Workman Jr. does his exquisite lettering. And then I think this is Riptide. Oh no, that was Vertigo. So this is Harpoon here and Blockbuster. And Harpoon says, "You scared us off with that little mumbo jumbo the first time around, but the Marauders are ready for you now." And Harpoon claims first blood as he throws his energized lance. Kind of like Gambit, just he energizes it. "Nothing that lives can survive the power of my energy lances." And Thor, of course, bashes it with his hammer. "Vain, glorious boaster, I am no helpless prey awaiting the slaughter, but a warrior of Asgard, wielder of the hammer and scion of Odin. The energy of your weapon is as empty air compared to the power of mighty Mjolnir." When I was very young, I did not, so I always said Mjolnir. I had no idea. And so here, nice panel here as Blockbuster hits Thor here. "Bah, fancy weapons ain't nothing compared to the strength of Blockbuster. I'll wring your head from your I'll wring your head from your neck before you can raise that blasted hammer again." And Thor says, "You had best move more quickly if you expect to write Thor's epitaph. No force of mortal man can stay the hand or power of my hammer." And um, let's see here. Vertigo, quick, zap him. That would have been, I don't know, probably Blockbuster. That's enough from you, handsome. When I'm finished with you, you won't be able to stand up, let alone lift your hammer. And so he, of course, feels her power, which is dizziness. So he creates um, he moves his hammer to kind of set the attack back on her, so she feels the power. And then Thor's like, enough! Let the lightning and the storm speak with the voice of Thor. And Blockbuster says, the heat, I can't stand it. And so off go the Marauders. And Thor's like, flee, cravens, you will not escape the wrath of Thor. Just retribution shall be your lot, for the foul deeds you have wrought here beneath the earth. But what of their latest victim? And he pulls Angel off and removes the harpoons there. He seems different from the scores of dead I have seen within the tunnels, yet his features are vaguely familiar. He wears the tattered remains of a uniform and bears the wounds of a recent battle. And so Thor holds him here. He was not quite he was not going quietly to his death as the others the Marauders have slain here. His wounds are grave, his head feverish. Though I'm no longer the mortal doctor I once was, even a blind man would know that the need for medical attention is urgent. And then Angel asks, Artie, is he safe? Did he make it? Artie is another mutant. This is part of the crossover with X Factor and the Uncanny X-Men. Again, I'm not there yet, but as you all know, I cover Thor. So here we are. So Artie is a young mutant who is able to project his he doesn't talk, so he projects like images. And so Angel was rescuing him from the Marauders. So Thor says, I do not understand thy questions. And Angel says, I guess he didn't. I can't seem to get anything right anymore. Just leave me alone. Let me die, he says. So, and Thor says, the will to live is vital if he is to survive his injuries. The doctor I once was demands that I succor his needs, but the Viking warrior is not so sure. All he has given he has given his all in battle, and Valhalla would be his reward in my world. Should I deny him his dying wish in this one? And then this thing falls here. You see the effect here, a skrik. And Thor looks behind him. He says. And the roof is starting to collapse here. The lightning and the heat have weakened the structure of the tunnel dangerously. Come, my winged friend, dying or not, I cannot leave you here in the blackness to perish alone and unheralded. Together we shall seek the sun, and woe to any who come between us and our goal. And so off he goes here, and now we go back to Asgard here. And here we have Balder the Brave, or the King actually, during this time here, with Odin's ravens here. The endless desert is well named, Munin, and yet, though all its vast and empty reaches, I have felt the burning gaze of unblinking eyes that see everything with the sharpness of the razor. And so the bird caws here. And Balder says, Indeed, Munin, I too feel the presence of another. The time has come. Hear me. 'Tis Balder of the White Ring who calls. I seek an audience. Grant me this boon for the sake of the token I wear. But then there's nothing, just silence. And suddenly, this creature comes from underneath the sand. Steady, Silver Hoof. We have not traveled all this weary way from Asgard to quail before the very thing we seek when it grants our request. So, pretty cool here. And the bird calls again. Balder says, "Yes, Mutant, we have found the object of our search." Begun the last issue, which again, I have covered that, and I do have a Thor playlist. "You have courage, little god, to stand boldly before the slayer of so many little gods," says this thing. "What do you wish?" And Balder says, "I wish to speak with you." And the creature says, "Even knowing that merely to speak to me may be enough to change the course of your very life." Balder says, are all we are all of us in the hands of fate, even the gods." So that creature turns into her. Weird bids thee welcome, gentle Balder. Few indeed were the tokens of the Sisters of the Fate, and fewer still have ever returned to seek a second audience. So, this has been covered, so feel free to check that out. "Necessity compelled my journey, my lady. I have come to ask a favor, one which only the fates themselves can grant." "The fates are notoriously fickle," she says, "but we cannot refuse the unselfish request of Balder Shining, who wears the white token. But beware, my brave. Weird may one day ask that the favor be returned. This is what you have come for. Is it not a vial of water from the well of life itself? Use it wisely. Such a gift cannot be given twice." And he's like, "How did you know? Did you yourself not say the burning gaze of the unblinking eyes that sees everything, Balder? And the fate of Balder is the special interest to which interest of the watching eyes of the three sisters." Sorry about that. And then Balder says, "When the Raven Union returned to Asgard from the depth of Muspelheim, he came alone. His brother Hugin did not return. But Munin brought a single feather back from the land of fire. And when Munin gave me the feather, I thought of weird well of life." Oh, so sorry. That was a little hard to read. I don't know sometimes the way these gods speak. So, "'Tis done," as he puts the water in there. "The feather glows. It trembles in my hand like a living thing. The ravens of Odin shall soar above the mountain of the 9 worlds again. Hugin lives." And so, "My lady Weird, from the bottom of my heart, I thank my lady, gone like the wind across the sand," and there goes the ravens. "And yet, I think she already knows my thoughts. My thank, lady, wherever you may be, the gratitude of Balder is thine. Come, Munin, come, Hugin, the golden realm of Asgard awaits our return." So off they go. And so now back on Earth, back in the Morlock tunnels, and underneath the sewers, which have to smell. I don't know why so many adventures take in the sewers here. We've got Blockbuster, Harpoon, but now Sabretooth has joined them here. And Harpoon says, "Looks like our job's just about done, Sabretooth. Too bad about the guy with the wings. He's lucky Thor showed up when he did. I sure would have liked to have nailed him, but he was way out of my league. And you should have seen him shatter my harpoon." And Sabretooth says, "Pity I wasn't with you, Harpoon. There isn't much my claws won't cut, and my speed second to none. God or no God, I could have torn him apart." Of course, our team does have a strong man on it, but I suppose he just wasn't up to it. Good enough for Morlocks, maybe, but not for a god, or whatever Thor really is, continues Sabretooth, kind of goading, and you can see Harpoon all goading Blockbuster. But it's tough to get good help, right, Blockbuster? Ah, let him alone, Sabretooth. You weren't there. You didn't get singed by that lightning. And so Blockbuster's leaving, but he's thinking, good enough for Morlocks, but not for a god. And he's like, simp, I'm going to find Goldilocks and wring his neck like I promised. Then I'm going to come back, Mr. Smart Guy, and take you apart claw by claw. So, All right, so here comes Thor. He's carrying Angel with him, and Thor thinking here softly, what is this I hear? A small sobbing, like injured child, or, and then of course this would be Artie here. And so, a frightened one, no doubt. 'Tis one of the denizens of the tunnels, hardly more than a babe. The marauders have missed him. And out loud he says, child, I am a friend. Come with me, and no harm shall befall you. And so, of course, as I mentioned before, Artie has the powers here. He doesn't talk, he just uses his powers here. And Thor offers him his hand, and Artie takes it, but you can see here a break in the wall. And here comes Blockbuster. And he goes, run, little one, before this foe is beyond you. And he breaks his bone. Now remember that Hela cursed Thor, so his bones are very brittle and he cannot die. So he will he basically, it's her way for him to beg for death. So Blockbuster hits him, and you can see Thor describes he's in incredible agony here, and he says, the hammer, 'tis still by my side. And this time it's gonna stay there, says Blockbuster. You ain't getting the chance to use it again. And Angel starts to wake up and sees he's gonna attack Thor. So Angel jumps, but he's not really able to use his wings here. And he kind of grabs Blockbuster, trying to give Thor a chance. And he's like, should have played dead, Chuckle. Maybe if I rip a few more of your feathers, you'll get a little smarter. As he screams here, you can see him holding it. And Thor's like, nope, not gonna happen. And you can see him with the hammer. Blockbuster, minion of evil, turn and face the son of Odin. And he turns back and says, everybody's coming back from the dead today. I'll take care of you in a second, Goldilocks, he says. And Thor throws the hammer, knocking him out. Your time, Blockbuster, has run out. And may Hela, goddess of death, deal with you as you deserve, assassin. So, does this mean that Thor has killed Blockbuster? Well, I don't think he shows up again. Maybe he does. I don't remember him showing up again. So feel free to check out the website for the Marvel to check it out. But it does look like Thor has killed him. So you can see here his broken arm. And so, but you, brave warrior, you have saved the life of Thor, the thunder god, and Thor shall never forget it. May the fates grant that you survive. And Artie here grabs Thor here and shows Cyclops and Jean Grey. And Thor says, they look familiar. I seem to remember them from some other time and place. And Thor continues, and the tug on my arm tells me that you may know how to find them. Lead on, child. I will bring our fallen angel. Again, consciousness hath bled his battered body, but he hath performed this day as a warrior true, and we shall see him safely removed from this dank and evil realm. So, and now we're back to Asgard here, and we've got Hogun and those little twins that Thor rescued, and he adopted these two children here after their mom was killed. Thor brought them to Asgard, and they're depressed because their mom is dead. And no, not Hogun, I'm sorry, Volstagg. My bad. And Volstagg says it's time for dinner and takes him down and introduces him to his other children. And he says they came from Earth. They're Mick and Kevin, and Hildy here is like, well, maybe we can go there sometime with you, meaning Earth. You can sit here next to me. I want them to sit next to me. No, me. Why can't they sit here? Mom. And Volstagg and his wife are happy that the kids are accepting the other children. So we're reaching the end. So here comes Thor being led by Artie, and they happen to find Cyclops and Marvel Girl or Marvel Woman or just Jean Grey, and they're happy to see him, and so they see Thor here with Angel, and um, Cyclops takes him here. He sees how badly wounded um, Angel is here, and so Jean uses her telekinetic power to carry him, and they realize that Thor has a broken arm here, and um sorry, I'm this time I'm just sort of not reading. I'm trying kind of sort of hurry up here because a lot of this is just sort of stuff to kind of fill in the issue, so it's not too important here. So Cyclops is going to basically create a splint for him, and you can see they use part of his cape here to keep his arm steady. And so Jean Grey is doing that while still holding up Angel. That's actually pretty cool here. So, and they're talking about all the dead here. And Thor says, "You can leave them to me, Cyclops. The battle is over, and these poor souls died in agony and in a sense. I will give them a Viking's funeral. You had best leave the tunnels. Do not tarry." So, off they go, and they thank him. And Thor kind of walks by, and the Marauders are the ones that killed all these people. And suddenly here, Hela appears, and she says, "I'm not a believer in tragedy of death, Thor, nor do I take delight in this cruelty. I appreciate its necessity." Sorry, this part here where he said Hela was enjoying this when she shows up here. My bad. All right. And so he says, "Liar. Well, perhaps I do enjoy it a little. Uh, the craftsman takes certain pride in the skills of his hand, does he not? And far more will I enjoy what is about to happen to you. In fact, I have journeyed all this weary way of hell to share knowledge with you. For I am going to teach the mighty Thor, who has never known fear, to be very afraid. Do you remember the weakness you felt as you left Asgard to return to Earth? 'Twas the kiss of Hela's gift, Thor, the gift you feel now. From this day forth, the mighty Thor, warrior of Asgard, will fear to enter combat, for his bones are now as brittle as those of an old woman, and when they break, they will not heal. Nor will you find respite in the arms of death, for I have cast you out, so he can't die, and his bones are very brittle. And the absence of death is eternal life. The god of thunder will live forever until every waking desire shall be to die. You will scream out Hela's name in agony. You shall long for death, and perhaps someday, if it pleases me, I may release you, but it may never please me. Thus I am a revenge for my humiliation at your hands in hell, Thunderer," which we have covered in these issues of Thor. And she laughs, and as she disappears here, and he's like, "Hela," and he uses his powers here, and you can see fire. It's consuming all the dead bodies, which is what he was going to do anyway. And all the bodies have now been burned, and he stands there kind of wondering what will happen next. So, next issue, "Disconnect them dry bones." So, Thor 374, written by Walter Simonson and drawn by Sal Buscema. Look at that. That's a pretty cool picture. Like and subscribe. Hope you like this. And I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.